Hi everyone, it's Franco Cavaleri from Biologic Pharma Medical, here to talk to you about an amazing product designed specifically for B-Epic, based on their recommended inclusions to create a keto formula that is phenomenal. And in fact, it's such a great formula that most of us in the office have kind of reverted to using the sample sticks that we generate for our office so that we can use them internally. This is an amazing product. Let me tell you a little bit about these ketones, ketosis, and what makes Ketoba, this patented BHB, beta-hydroxybutyrate, BA. And you'll see that on the labels referred to BHB-BA. And this beta-hydroxybutyrate butyric acid, or also called butanoic acid, is very different. This complex is very different from a regular BHB salt. And you'll get to hear and understand a little bit more about why. The B Keto made for B-Epic is made with the BHB-BA. And, you know, we've heard about how BHBs, or exogenous ketones, or also referred to the ketone body supplements, can improve weight management, can improve appetite suppression, can be used for amazing energy impetus, especially in the brain. It just kind of wakes you up. So interesting product, because what's unique about B-Keto and the BHB-BA patented complex is that we use an array of beta-hydroxybutyrate salts so that we don't sodium load the user. The sodium beta-hydroxybutyrate is one of the cheaper ketone salts, or beta-hydroxybutyrate salts, that are used in the marketplace. And it's said often that, you know, athletes who are involved in rigorous activity can best be served by a high sodium intake in their diet. And that might be so if you're involved in an endurance triathlon program in hot weather, especially where you're sweating a lot and there's taxation on loss of electrolytes. But for most of us that use it, I don't use it that way. Most of us that use a ketone salt to improve energy as a pre-workout in a regular 30 to 40 minute workout, that excessive sodium is not necessary. And in fact, for people who, you know, may be looking to lose weight to improve health, I mean, the extra sodium is I think it creates a compromise in general health. And in fact, it's quite ergolytic, it's called, even in some cases of physical work. Ergolytic means that it's not ergogenic, as in promoting sports activity and performance, but interfering with it. So first key feature of the B-Keto is that we use an array of different ketone salts: sodium, beta-hydroxybutyrate; calcium, beta-hydroxybutyrate; magnesium, beta-hydroxybutyrate; and then we add potassium. Now, so now you have an electrolyte array that's built into the program. Beautiful system. But that's not at all what differentiates the patented product. What differentiates it is the coupling to butyric acid, the short chain fatty acid, not a medium chain triglyceride. And we know that adding medium chain triglycerides to the diet can work to induce ketogenesis and serve as a secondary energy substrate. But the problem is that tolerance of the medium chain triglyceride is quite low. A lot of people can't tolerate it. It produces gastrointestinal distress, and coupled to the BHB salt, it can be a problem. Back to B-Keto, there's no medium chain triglyceride added to it. We don't believe in it. It's not necessary. We add the short chain fatty acid, butyrate, and that's why it's called BHB-BA. Now, what's important about adding the butyrate? The butyrate serves as a signal. It's called a ligand to activate what's called beta oxidation. Beta oxidation is a process primarily carried out by the liver. And what it does is it tells your liver to make ketones from your own fat. That's critical, because it's said in the industry that if you take BHB salts as a supplement, your serum ketone levels will rise. And yes, they will, because of the ketone body you just supplemented with. It ends up in the bloodstream, causes serum ketone levels to rise. That's ketosis. The problem is, when you elevate serum ketone levels using a regular beta-hydroxybutyrate salt, serum ketone levels rise, and you shut off, you turn off ketogenesis. You turn off fatty acid oxidation. What does that mean? Well, when you are on a ketogenic diet, the objective is to get your body to make ketones from your own fat. Some of those ketones can be made from your dietary fat. But the problem here is that if you take an exogenous ketone, raise serum ketone levels, the body's feedback mechanism goes back and says, hey, stop producing ketones. There's too many in the blood. We don't need any more. And stop using fat with a beta oxidative process to make ketones. So you're not burning fat anymore. Fatty acid oxidation shuts down. Now, fatty acid oxidation in layman terms is burning fat. So we turn off the fat burning process when we add the regular BHB salt to the diet. Yes, serum ketone levels rise, and you can test it in urine, you can test it in your blood, but what does that mean? The only time a really high level of serum ketones are important is if you're trying to treat brain disease where blood sugar is not easily absorbed or utilized by the neurons in the brain, and then things can happen like, and in fact, this is part of the pathology with dementias, Alzheimer's and things like that. And in fact, there's a common term called type 3 diabetes associated with the metabolism in the brain. And primarily what it means is that you have an insulin resistant state in the brain and the neurons are not capable of actually absorbing glucose effectively. And what happens in that case, then the neurons begin to suffer, they're not functioning properly, and memory loss occurs. And eventually, if that becomes a significant problem where starvation from glucose, so the inability to absorb glucose occurs for a long period of time, those cells can die and then we get apoptosis. And that's ultimately what happens in late stages of Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. And so this type 3 diabetes that tends to occur in the brain can be bypassed. And ultimately, the ketone itself does not depend on insulin. So if there's insulin resistance developing, which does develop with age for all of us, peripherally, such as type 2 diabetes can occur. But there are pre-diabetic states of insulin resistance that occur. And the degrees of insulin resistance that can occur over time as you age, as the lifestyle beats up on your insulin functions, and including insulin gene anomalies like mutations that sometimes produce an insulin protein that is not 100%. It might be there might be a mutation that creates an anomaly in the protein and doesn't work as well as someone else's might. And here's the interesting thing. As insulin resistance develops and insulin function declines, even if it's pre-diabetic, even if you're not diagnosed with diabetes as you age, that insulin resistance contributes to metabolic hiccups, which make it very difficult for you to lose weight, make it very difficult for you to clear blood sugar, and you put on weight faster. It's one of the ways and one of the mechanisms by which, as you age, is harder to lose weight and maintain significant lean body mass. So where does the ketone come into play? When we take this exogenous ketone body, a BHB salt, or ester even, that BHB serves as an energy source for the brain. And so if you've developed various levels of insulin insufficiency or insulin resistance, even if it's pre-diabetic, the brain can begin using ketones as a substrate to make ATP as an alternative. And it can make more ATP with less oxygen than your cells can make when you use glucose. And this is one of the reasons why people use the Keto as a pre-workout. A couple of things are happening here. The pre-workout Keto use, even fasting without any food, you get an amazing workout which is just fortified with intense energy and drive and long-term energy, and I'll explain why. The reason is that the brain's getting everything it needs, despite the fact that you might be compromising your diet, restricting calories, or restricting carbohydrates. Now, cool thing is, let's say you're on a ketogenic diet. Ketogenic diet, low carbs, high fat, and some protein. Now remember, too much protein in that ketogenic diet can result in some of those amino acids being converted to glucose. These are gluconeogenic amino acids. And that's why in the true, proper ketogenic diet, fat is high, protein is kind of low, and then carbs even lower. It's hard to maintain that diet. In the first 72 hours, it can take actually between 48 and 72 hours, depends on how your body's been trained and how used to it is to this type of dietary restriction. But during the 72 hours, ketone levels tend to rise slowly. And if they don't increase fast enough, the brain starts saying, hey man, I need some carbs. See, the peripheral tissues of your body, they can use fat as a source of energy. But that fat doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. The ketones are smaller molecules made by your liver from fat, and they're also aqueous soluble, water soluble, so they can actually penetrate and go into the brain and be used by the brain without any insulin function required to make more ATP. So you can see what happens here. Even on a fasting diet, on a fasting workout, if you take Keto, you can train hard. The brain is ready to go. Your muscles will use fat as a primary source of energy because carbs should have been restricted if you're intermittent fasting. And you spare muscle. And that's the key thing. Because most bodybuilders, most people who are into powerlifting, most people who are into building mass, no, you can't go into a training session fasted because you risk burning muscle. The body will try to pull branched chain amino acids from muscle and utilize those as an energy substrate or convert them for energy substrates. And you lose muscle. But using Keto fasted, you burn fat so you get ripped. And you spare muscle so you don't lose that lean tissue that's metabolically active enough to burn calories long term. So you can see what happens here. You create an amazing momentum by using Keto as a pre-workout to get you to your fitness goals more quickly. But there's way more to Keto than just pre-workout and training. Keto raises mentation. It raises the mind's ability to focus. When you take it, within minutes, the room is brighter and you're focused. And I take it daily and my mind is on par, ready to go. And by 2 or 3 o'clock, if I'm running down and I'm too tired because I've had a long day starting at 6, I may take another small dose at 2 or 3 and bam, I can start another day right from there because my brain is reactivated. The room is brighter. So for studying, it's unbelievable. For dementias, unbelievable. If you have type 2 diabetes, it's an amazing product to use because it helps the body manage blood sugar. And the key feature that differentiates it is the butyric acid. Keto has the patented Ketoba, BHB-BA, and that BA is critically important because of many things. One, it helps insulin clear blood sugar. So it helps your body remove sugar from blood so that the ketone you just took becomes prevalent in the bloodstream and can be used as a prevalent substrate for ATP generation, ATP being the cell's energy source. So you can see how synergistic this butanoic acid is. 2 things that are critically important about it. One, it helps you manage blood sugar to make the ketone prevalent above blood sugar. So if you take an exogenous ketone without managing blood sugar or restricting the diet to 0 carbs, what happens is blood sugar goes up along with the ketone. And your cells will compete for blood sugar first. It'll take blood sugar and some ketone, but the blood sugar is used primarily. If you restrict carbs and sugar's down, the ketone is prevalent. But that's hard for people to do. And in fact, you know what? Like I have a low carb diet, not a 0 carb diet. But my carbohydrate or glucose, blood sugar levels may be up and competing with the ketone that's in the blood. But when you take Keto, what happens is the BA, the butyric acid, the short chain fatty acid that's coupled to the BHB, the beta hydroxybutyrate, what happens to that is that it raises the efficiency of blood sugar clearance, causing blood sugar to go down, and the ketone becomes prevalent. And that's how you burn more fat. And two, that BA also binds to receptors in your liver to signal and tell it to turn on the beta oxidation activity. And this beta oxidative activity causes your body to make more ketones from your fat. So when you take B-keto, what happens is ketone levels rise like this, blood sugar levels decline like this, but the brain is happy, you're burning fat, and you don't get this peak of BHBs and then drop. And the reason why you don't get a peak and a drop is because you're getting the BHB input that goes into the bloodstream from the supplement that's in the B-keto, but you're also getting the signal from the butanoic acid, or the butyric acid as it's called. And that signal tells your body to make ketones. So you don't get a drop like this after you're using them. You get a slow decline that lasts a long time. And that's why when people use B-keto, you feel that energy. And then suddenly it doesn't go away. Because as the BHB is used up in the blood, you get a blip down, but then it goes up again because your body's making it, and it stays up for a longer period of time. The other thing that's critically important to recognize is that if you're on a ketogenic diet, what you're trying to do with the low carb, high fat, and small amount of protein is to push your body to make ketones. A long time ago, when it was determined that that ketogenic diet was sufficient for helping manage epilepsy, that ketogenic diet's mechanism for epilepsy management was the ketone. Eventually, it was found out, hey, it's the ketone that's supporting better brain and better regulated and controlled brain activity. And then the supplement became available. The extremely high doses that you need to deal with that supplemental activity for epilepsy are, 10, 12, 14 grams and more per serving. But you don't need that much when you're trying to burn fat and perform, because if you take that much, you got to burn through the calories. And so now you have an extra calorie source you got to burn through before you can burn through your own fat. This is why we have a different system. We supply the BHB, but we also supply the signal BA, butyric acid, for your liver to make ketones and continue making them from your own fat. And that's how you begin to burn your own fat. Our research has been published in peer-reviewed journals. Now, third-party researchers will review our research and say, okay, it's not good, or okay, yes, it is good, and you can publish. And it's published in a peer-reviewed journal that's third-party, independent of us, showing how regular BHB in that published research, it's public domain, you can go look for it, and we'll send you links if you come ask us for them. If you take regular BHB on its own, fatty acid oxidation or burning of fat shuts down. Ketogenesis, the generation or making of ketones by your own body, shuts down. So if you're on a ketogenic diet and you take that BHB, you're avoiding or voiding completely what the ketogenic diet is supposed to be doing for you. But if you take Ketoba, or the BHB coupled to BA, butanoic acid, butyric acid, together, you get the rise in serum ketones plus a ping, 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 ping in your metabolic pathways, telling the body to continue making the ketone BHB, beta hydroxybutyric acid, and other ketones as well. There's several others that are coupled to this system, and they're in equilibrium in your bloodstream. And what happens is the shutdown never occurs. So fatty acid oxidation stays intact. It means you're burning fat. And ketogenesis, the making or generation of ketones, stays intact. It means you're continuing to make ketones from your own fat. That's the beauty and the difference between BHB only and BHB coupled to BA, butyric acid. B-keto is made with BHB-BA. It is the next generation. It is the future of ketone supplementation that's compatible with the ketogenic diet, that's compatible and usable by people using it as a pre-workout. It's compatible and usable and functional for weight management, for cognition, for studying. My daughter's at McGill University, and she uses it for studying and says, my gosh, this is unbelievable. We've got people using it for pre-workout, and life changes. So you take it daily, and then you have the drive, the will, the power, the mental aptitude to achieve whatever you want to achieve. And this is my philosophy. It's like you can do anything you want to put your mind to. And that's the key. Getting your mind in line with your goals. Ketoba, or BHB-A, does that. The BA is also critical for gastrointestinal health. In fact, your probiotic culture makes butyric acid as one of the short-chain fatty acids from fiber. And because our diets are not great, we often have compromised BA levels in the gut. And that creates an environment, a pH, that's appropriate for your probiotic culture to survive and create health. So that's another benefit of the BHB-BA. And in fact, it's been shown, and I published this component in my research, that as you raise BA levels, you have a lower likelihood of interference by another short-chain fatty acid called propionic acid, which has been shown to be a factor that contributes to autism syndrome. And by alleviating the propionic acid, the brain can function better. Now, this is research that needs to be duplicated to confirm it. But the thing is that what we're showing here is that there's pathways, multiple pathways and multiple mechanisms and multiple benefits for the butanoic acid to work in synergy with beta-hydroxybutyrate, the ketone. And that is a patent protected system that no other will have. So go out, help people find their goals, help people achieve what they want to achieve cognitively and physically, and make Be Keto a central platform for that achievement process. And together, we're going to make a lot of people happy and have a lot of people find the endpoints and results and goals that they're trying to achieve. Great working with you guys. You guys are an amazing bunch, and I'm very excited about the future. All the best. Be Keto all the way.